So we saw some interesting stuff happening in that space, and that's kind of when I started paying more attention to it. Luckily, I had two business partners as well, or my two partners now, that were also interested in e-commerce, and kind of what I was seeing combined with what they were learning in e-commerce really kind of pushed us in that direction. No, I mean, that's a good way to put it. I think on the day-to-day, I was just analyzing different properties, a lot of the boring stuff that comes with real estate, reading leases, reading contracts, all that nonsense, operating agreements, whatever it may be. But every once in a while, you see an interesting deal come across, or, an interesting tenant reach out to you, and you're kind of like, like, why is that? And a lot of these instances where, a mall, Sears, for example, has a big box at an end cap in a mall. And we're looking at ways of redeveloping that. So we'd have food retailers or small shop retailers come in and reach out to us and say, hey, like, we'd be interested in renting space. So one way we started seeing that, first of all, big box retail isn't really needed anymore, or at least in the mall sense. I mean, I know Walmart, Target, they're still going to be around, but in the mall sense, having everything in a Sears store didn't really make sense. So a lot of times we were knocking them down, repurposing them for smaller retailers. So I think that was one trend that I started seeing, is that smaller and smaller retailers are going to be, coming into the space more, whether it be food, whether it be, a physical good, whatever it was. And that was one interesting thing that I started taking out of that, seeing that there was more demand for this type of space for smaller businesses. And I think in general, there was a bigger sentiment around consumers to support small business as well. So I think that's kind of one thing that I started seeing. And then I saw some really interesting big transactions, or inquiries, I would say, particularly involving companies like Amazon, like FedEx, and seeing what was happening in that space. So, we had some pretty good offers from those types of companies to buy some of Sears distribution centers so they could actually distribute more inventory. We also saw some other, that was an interesting one. This one's even better. We also saw some other transactions where Amazon was coming in and buying C and D malls and redeveloping the malls into fulfillment centers.
Can you what's C and D? Can you give us some context so we understand?
Yeah. So it's just the way we think of like what a good quality mall is to like a bad quality mall. So let's say,
so we're talking asset, like asset class.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Interesting.
C and D, like obviously poor. I mean, D, everything's probably closed already. C, it's probably trending in that direction. And we had Amazon come in and look to buy a few malls that we were at that were D malls. So we saw some interesting stuff happening in that space. And that's kind of when I started paying more attention to it. Luckily, I had two business partners as well, or my two partners now, that were also interested in e-commerce, and kind of what I was seeing combined with what they were learning in e-commerce really kind of pushed us in that direction.
Thanks for watching another segment brought to you by my team at Invested Talent. Now, if you would like similar content for your brand repurposed, make sure you text us repurpose at 678-679-5613. That's repurpose at 678-679-5613. And my team will make sure that we give you the blueprint so that you can repurpose your content and amplify your message on social media. We'll see you on the other side.